Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. It always amazes me when someone complains about wasting time, yet they're the one wasting more time about complaining about it. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like if you enjoy the content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a juicy story. Customer doesn't understand the passage of time. This happened to me a few years ago now. I've never been able to forget it. One of those weird things that just sticks with you. I was working in the gift shop at a zoo to get by while I was in college. The shop was pretty big. From one end, you can't really see the other end. There's one checkout next to the entrance. It's kind of on its own at that side of the shop. Then there's the three main checkouts at the other end of the shop by the exit. This is all important. On to the story. So one day, I'm stood at the checkout by the entrance. I like working on that one because it's never busy, people don't normally walk through the whole shop, then go back to the entrance to pay. It's an odd place to have a checkout, but I'm not complaining, easy day for me. Anyway, this guy walks out of the zoo and into the shop. He immediately turns and looks at me. Guy, is this checkout open? Me. Yes, is there something you're looking for? He doesn't respond and just walks back out the shop and back into the zoo. Bit weird, I thought. Guy just walks straight into the shop, asks if a checkout's open, and then walks out. I didn't really think any more of it, carried on working. About a half hour later, my manager comes over and asks me to cash up and go and take over from someone at one of the main checkouts. I cash up and close the checkout. I turn all the lights off, put a cover over the desktop, and put out the sign that tells people to pay at the exit. All pretty clear signs that the checkout isn't open, especially the literal sign. A while later, I'm working on the main checkouts, and this guy comes stomping up. I realize it's the same guy that came in like an hour ago asking if that checkout was open. You know where this is going. Guy, I've been stood waiting at that checkout for 20 minutes. Me, sorry sir, that checkout's been closed. You can pay here though. Guy, well you told me it was open. Now you've wasted my time. Me, again, I apologize, but we closed that checkout. Guy, now more annoyed. Well, I came in before and you told me that it was open. You lied to me. Me, sir, the checkout was open an hour ago. Since then, we've closed it. There was a sign that says you pay over here. Guy, well, I didn't see any sign. How am I supposed to know it's closed? And why would you close it after telling me it's open? At this point, I've had enough. How clueless is this guy? Who in their right mind comes into a shop an hour beforehand to see if a checkout's open? Things aren't going to be the same an hour later. How could he not tell that it was closed? Every other customer had no issue with seeing that. Did he not notice the flocks of people walking past with items to pay at the other end? Me. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Again, we closed that checkout a little while ago. I'll see what we can do about making it more obvious that the checkout's closed. Guy, it's just poor customer service. You've wasted my time here. Your management are going to know about this. Just check me out so I can leave. Me, thought it best not to actually say this aloud. You're damn right they will. My manager's gonna love this one. Never a dull day. Poor guy. His wife left him, his mother never loved him, then he was blatantly lied to since he expected that checkout to remain open for the rest of his life. Sad. And our second story. Don't schedule anything for your job? Roger. While I usually work in the structural engineering side of our enterprise, occasionally I will assist with some of the general civil projects. We're a design-build company, exactly what it sounds like. I've been working with a project manager who's been with the company since its founding nearly 30 years ago. We'll refer to him as Rob for this story. Important note, this project takes place near Fairbanks, Alaska. Well, about 2 weeks ago, Rob asked me to look into what it would take to get a 40-yard bin dropped off on site for scrap metal from an old tank that was being demoed. He said we want the bin to arrive on Monday, so Monday last week I get scrap pricing as well as a drop-off scheduled through a local scrapyard and inform Rob of the scrap price and mention that the delivery has been scheduled. Fast forward to that Monday, and I get a call from Rob, and he's just screaming, cursing, and chewing my butt out for scheduling the delivery of this bin. He says, I told you to look into it, not to schedule it. Well, to me, that means schedule it, and I pointed out that I informed him via email that the van would be dropped off. Rob then says, I don't care what the other PMs have you do. Nobody schedules any delivery to my job but me. All right, fine, I can do that. I send him an email which says something along the lines of, I understand from our conversation this morning that in the future I will not schedule any delivery for your projects. Is this correct? That evening, a one-word response. Yes. Last Wednesday, I get a call from the company which will be supplying the crane for our project. They inform me that they would like to get the 60 RT crane, pretty decent size, delivered to the job site on Friday. I tell them that I cannot confirm that delivery and that I'll need to get Rob in touch with them. I'm informed that we need to get this handled ASAP because we're getting close to the delivery window. For those unaware, I assume most everyone, as I don't know this until the conversation, there's a time in the late spring in parts of Alaska where delivery of loads over a certain weight are not allowed due to the damage that the load will do to the roadways with the subgrades that are recently unfrozen. Apparently this window changes from year to year, but is in place starting this week. You can still transport heavy loads, but it takes additional permitting and has a fee, much like normal oversized loads. I call Rob and leave a voicemail that he needs to call back our crane supplier, needs confirmation for delivery on Friday. I follow up with an email. I did not hear back on Wednesday, so I repeated the procedure on Thursday morning, again with no answer to either call or voicemail. On Thursday, right before I head out, I email Rob and CC our VP, who heads all installation projects, telling Rob that the crane supplier needs an answer immediately and that I've been trying to reach Rob since Wednesday to confirm this, as I've been informed that I am not to schedule deliveries for your project. Well, that got the ball rolling. Rob calls me in the morning on Friday and tells me to get the crane here today. I call the crane guys and they inform me that there's no way that we can get the crane in that day and that it will have to come in on Monday during the restricted delivery window. I end up transferring the crane supplier to our VP because I'm not about to approve the additional price of this delivery, and the VP handles it. VP's a cool guy. He's a bit annoyed with me, but I forwarded him the email confirming that I'm not allowed to get delivery scheduled, and he's completely off my back about it. Sounds like we're out about $10K due to the additional charges for this delivery. And guess who's allowed to schedule deliveries again? I should note that the owner is in the office every day, and he's not the kind of guy to take lightly to the fact that he's out 10 grand because someone lost his cool about something stupid. What makes this the perfect story was that you took every possible step to make sure you informed Rob of the urgency of the situation, and he still failed to sort it out. And our last story. Stepmother Karen sells my land with the mansion. My stepmother is a horrible person. She's 13 years younger than my father. My mother died in a car accident when I was 7 years old. About a year later, my father married a new wife. From that moment on, I learned what real hypocrisy was. When my father was around, my stepmother was always kind and pleasant to me, but as soon as he left for work, the strictness, shouting, and nitpicking about little things began, so I preferred spending more time at school, with friends, or out for walks rather than at home. Everything more or less calmed down only when my older brother came home from college for the holidays. Then the stepmother behaved tolerantly. My father was engaged in selling car wheels and owned 3 stores throughout the state, so he often had to travel for work and be away from home for more than a few days. He paid for my brothers and my college education, and we always had everything we needed materially, so I can't blame him for anything. That's how I grew up. This is all to understand the context. And now to the story. My father died of a heart attack at the age of 50 without leaving a will. Since I was still a minor, my stepmother was appointed as guardian and received half of my father's property. The other half was supposed to be divided between my brother and me by law. Since Karen was my guardian, she effectively had control over my share. I was very emotionally affected by my father's death and didn't pay much attention to it at the time. I also had a trust in my name from my father to pay for college. My brother was already working in the family business, and Karen tried to buy his share to take everything for herself, even though she didn't understand how to manage it. By not letting my brother take over the company, she almost ruined the family business. My brother had to rename the 2 stores he had to avoid getting sued, even though our surname was in the name. Later, a year later, Karen sold her store at a reduced price because it started losing money. As I found out later, she spent more than half of my share on various brand name items. I wasn't too bothered by this because I was focused on getting into college to be away from my stepmother as soon as possible. The next year, I got into a college in a neighboring state and was able to leave. The first year was great. I was finally free from my stepmother's presence until one day my brother called me. He said that the stepmother had started building a new house on our family plot, and he decided to come and check it out as he still owned part of our father's house, as did I. He came to the stepmother's house, and she happened to be away on a 2-week cruise. My brother wanted to look at some of our father's papers. Since he had a key and full access to the house, he looked into the old safe of our father, knowing that the code was my birth date. He found a hidden will and new brand name jewelry belonging to the stepmother. The will stated that our father suspected that the stepmother was cheating on him, so he was excluding her from the will. It was handwritten and had our father's signature. My brother immediately thought it might not have legal force, but decided to consult a lawyer. It turned out that such a will is valid in many states, including ours. My brother ordered an additional examination to confirm that it was indeed our father's handwriting and signature. From the new jewelry in the safe, I understood that the stepmother knew about the will and just decided to hide it, only for some reason she didn't have the sense to burn it, or perhaps she was indulging her ego by reading it. My brother took the stepmother to court. It turned out that hiding a will is a criminal offense. As I understood, if a will was hidden, the courts take such cases very seriously, and justice will be on the side of the affected heirs. The stepmother tried to file a counterclaim that the will was forged, but the examination left her no chances. Karen was convicted of fraud, forgery, and obstruction of justice. Since the inheritance was quite large, she was given 20 years in prison. And in my opinion, good riddance, Karen. You deserve much more. It's a shame our OP had to go through all this. Now Karen will have time to rethink her whole life while she's in prison. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.